Okay, we're live.
We are live for the very first time. This is kind of exciting.
Yes,
scary, but
yeah.
kind of
And I mean, guys, I hope we can figure out what we're doing right, because if
Right.
you're asking us questions, we'll try to answer
Why does
them.
that say tap chat?
I don't look at that tap chat. Okay, I don't know a goal. I don't know what that means.
Okay, so we're obviously.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, cuss.
Okay.
I'm not touching anything else.
We're not touching. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi.
So we are Bridgett and Colleen, co-hosts of Hot Flashes and Cool Topics podcast. And we've been doing this podcast for almost 6 years.
Yeah.
If you can believe it. Can you tell which one of us was just in Florida recently?
Well, you have a pool too.
I digress.
You have a pool. I was on my pool yesterday.
I was like, I go like neck to with cover, and
she gets on her pizza float with her t-shirt and her
my
shorts
hat
on.
and when it's
I put on sunscreen though.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know the importance.
And we'll
of
talk
that.
about recommendations for sunscreen.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We digress. This is what happens when we talk. I think this is what happens with a lot of women when we get together and talk. And that's why we kind of wanted to start doing some of these lives. We have been doing the podcast, like I said, for over almost 6 years. And we have talked to hundreds of women, whether they be experts, celebrities, authors, even a few men as well, about the things that we want to know about after turning 50, because no one really talks about them. And when we started the podcast, nobody was talking about menopause. Nobody. So we thought Hot Flashes and Cool Topics would be kind of a catchy, kind of catchy. People would listen to it, and we were right. They did listen to it, and we're thrilled that we have such a following. But now we wanted to start adding some chats on YouTube, because we would love to have people kind of engage back with us. We hear that from a lot of our listeners. I wish I could answer that question you just asked.
Right.
I wish I could have.
So really, if you
asked a follow-up question.
Oh, there's chat right there, guys. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yes. You're never too old to learn.
So Colleen and we talk about things that we didn't know about. I didn't know what the word perimenopause meant until I was already in it and almost done with it.
Right.
So, we've talked a lot about menopause, but we're also post. We're both post, and we're also learning just how really great this time of life is. We've heard from so many of our guests and different listeners that they are really having a great time of life, and no one ever told them that this could be a really.
This one,
we're like camera 1, camera 2, camera 1. It doesn't matter. You can look at the computer. You can look at the phone. We're recording.
We just want to make sure we do this right.
We don't even know what we're doing, but we're having fun. So,
and that's another thing over 50.
Yeah,
you can try new things. You don't have to be afraid to do it. And if it doesn't work, oh well, life experience, move on. Yeah. But so the intent of this was to have we're going to talk about things that affect us over 50. We're both 57. I will soon be 58. And we have spoken to so many women who are living their best lives in this time of life. And we kind of are learning the secret sauce ingredients. We want to share those with people. So if you do join us, please feel free to ask questions, as long as they're nice and they're not mean. But you know what? If you do a mean one, it pushes the algorithm. So.
And we'll just ignore it. So whatever, or I'll just laugh because, really, unless you're like really, really, really cruel. I don't care.
And no, neither of our names are Karen. Okay,
no.
So if you say
but we
Karen,
have a really good friend named Karen, and she is not a Karen. She's the least Karen I know. So yeah. Anyway.
Or baby, if you call us boomers, we're not boomers. We're Gen Xers.
We're Gen X.
I'm proud of it.
We're Gen X, and and we've been ignored. We're used to being ignored. So
you want to start talking about that. So one of the things we hear a lot from people, whether they're listeners or just our friends, is that you turn 50 and you feel invisible. And like examples I can say of it is like when you're at a store and you could walk in first at like a clothing store, for example, and you walk in and you're walking around, and the people that work there, as soon as some younger people walking behind you, they're like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And you're like,
they're using our credit cards to buy the stuff in the store. So you really want to talk to us. I'll never forget, I was in a deli once, and I know who you are. And this guy broke right in front of me. And he knew, like, if I come in and the worker at this place or the store, the deli, they're cutting up the meat or whatever, and their back's turned, they didn't see who was first. if they turned to me and this other person was first, I'm going to say they were here first.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to say that. Like, I did not do that. Oh, I know who you are. You live in Shelbyville and you're an attorney. Shelbyville,
Hey,
Kentucky.
not all attorneys are bad.
No, they're not.
My husband and I
But that one is. You know who you are. So anyway.
We're going to send this right to the Shelby News.
Oh, yeah.
Shelbyville
I'll just
News.
share that. Yeah, anyway.
Yes.
I don't forget. Oh, God, I'm so bad. I hold a grudge. But anyway.
Now I'm just afraid to talk to you because I might say something and you'll hold a grudge. Or like when we interviewed, she remembers everything. And I
Mary Lou Henner.
Mary Lou Henner. When we interviewed Mary Lou Henner, I was so afraid because I was like, she remembers everything. So she's going to know what we wore, what we said, how were we that day? Were we good interviewers? Were we good interviewers? And she was lovely.
She was.
I digress.
No, you know what? I don't hold a grudge unless you're intentionally mean or nasty. Otherwise, I mean, golly. I mean, we make mistakes. We say things. Speaking of saying things, Colleen.
Oh, no. What did I say?
No, you didn't say. So another thing at this age that we no longer accept backhanded compliments.
Oh, yes.
So backhanded compliments. Oh my goodness.
And can you give me an example?
So yes.
Backhanded
compliment. Yes, Colleen, I can. so one backhanded compliment, a few years ago, I followed Noom and I lost 30 pounds. And when I lost 30 pounds.
And she's maintained it.
Believe me, most of it sometimes a little creeps, but maintained it pretty well. And, you feel good, you feel healthy, but it is a little weird. People want to compliment you, but it makes me feel like, boy, I must have really looked awful before.
No, you didn't.
But somebody close to me said, your weight loss is noticeable. Well, no crap. Of course, 20 to 30 pounds is going to be noticeable.
Right.
You don't need to remind me of that. And I guess.
But intent, we're back in intent. Was it said like, it's so noticeable? Or was it, it's noticeable? Like, are you on something as if to.
That person knew that I was doing Noom. But I'm like, good grief. I mean, of course it's noticeable.
Yeah.
It's
been noticeable for a couple of years now.
They said this to me.
Looking at you?
They said this to me last year. So I'd lost the weight for a while. It may have been 2 years ago when I was starting, to lose the weight. I think I was like 20 pounds down, but kind of like, it is noticeable. It is noticeable. Well, yeah, I don't know.
You should have said thank you.
But this person has commented on my body a lot. And
okay, so that's another thing.
Yeah, they've commented on my
backhanded compliment, you look good for your age.
Oh, you just look good. You look good.
You look good, period. You look pretty today. You look happy. Even more important, you look happy today. You just, those drive me insane. Because, do you know my age? If you do, fine. But either way, just look good. You know what I mean?
And it makes me really conscious now of when I probably said things like that when I was younger.
Right.
And it makes me really conscious of what I say now. And there are women that are older than me that I am so impressed with, that they might be 20, 25 years older than me. Mm-hmm. And I am so impressed with how they're aging that I really want to be conscious. Like I might say to someone our age, like, okay, that person's my role model.
Right.
I want to be that but then do I say that to them? Because I don't want them to feel weird. I don't
say you look amazing.
They are, I mean, really, there's women that I play pickleball with, tennis with.
That we've interviewed.
That are so active and cool and having the best life. They are aging so wonderfully. And I'm impressed with them. And I do consider them like a role model, but it's like this awkwardness. How do I compliment them on that?
Right, right.
Because
you know how it feels when someone says you look good for your age.
Right.
And you don't want to share that kind of backhanded compliment.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the good examples of living your best life is we interviewed Elizabeth Perkins a couple of weeks ago, and her from Big and
Weeds and all the things.
So many shows. And she has 4 kids. They're grown. They're all in their probably late 20s, early 30s. And she packed up from LA and moved to Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts. And she did that because she wanted to know her neighbors. She
Mhm.
wanted to be able to say hi to the local
Librarian.
Thank you.
General store.
Right. And
gas
so she did
station.
that. But the beauty of it was she did it all by herself.
Yeah.
So she packed, well, obviously she didn't pack up her car. She probably had movers do that. But she took her car and she drove across the country alone. Her daughter put a little tracking device on her so she would know where she was. And she said it was one of the most freeing experiences she had ever had. So I think one of the things that our parents didn't get to experience, maybe, and that's a shame, is the freedom that comes from this time of life. Right. You get to choose what brings you joy. You get to choose how your days go. You get to choose who you have in your life. And Bridgett and I have talked about people that we have had to kind of say goodbye to.
Disassociate with.
Yeah, because it wasn't bringing us joy.
Right.
So we would love to know, and in the comments below, please tell us, or in the chat if you're here live, what secrets have you learned? Like, what did you learn over 50? What did you have no clue or no idea what was going to happen? Because I think a lot of us are told you're somehow going to become invisible. That that's
to expect
obvious.
And part of that, sometimes it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't want everybody looking at you. Sometimes you're like, I'm just going to go under the radar in this store and I'm going to look everywhere. Nobody's going to bother me.
And that's what I was going to say from the very beginning. When you have somebody come in younger than you and they're like, oh, how can I help you? You get to go around and not be bothered. And I cannot stand when there's somebody following me.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to try that on?
That's on sale. That's on sale.
I have
this thing that you don't want, that you have 20 of at home, it's on sale. So you might want another one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there are things that come with age that can be superpowers if you look at them from a different light. And invisibility is one of them. You get to choose where you go. You get to try new things. Jump, try it. We're trying this live. We have no idea. If people are going to join, listen. But Bridgett and I would be chatting anyway.
Right.
Like, this isn't anything new to us. We've been chatting for 5.5 years on this podcast. But we find that women feel lonely. And that's the next thing. I don't think our parents talk to us about the
lonely feeling. Yes. Yeah. And my mother had 12 children, so she was never really lonely. After, I know we asked her probably a few years before she passed about, well, what's your advice for, she said, have lots of daughters. Well, you can't really decide. That's not always possible, or you may not want to have lots of children. You may not want to have any children,
which could foster being lonely as you get older too, because at least you would hope that you have a decent, not everybody does, decent relationship with your children as they get older. And that's another thing we don't talk about, the fact that, I don't know, when I was growing up, options were not something I had. My mother and father told me what we were going to do, when we were going to do it. And then as our children came to the world, all of a sudden people were talking about, well, what options would you like to give your children? And I was like, you can do that. And now it's, as adults, we have to sit back and watch them hopefully make choices that are good for them. But when they don't, and you have to sit back and just kind of watch the train wreck happen, nobody told us about that.
Yeah, that's, and I think, I don't know.
Breakups or whatever.
No, I don't know how my parents ever slept, because you always feel like you're as happy as your least happy child.
Yes, true.
I've always heard that. You're always as happy as your least happy child. And my parents had 12 of them. So somebody was always unhappy. Somebody had to be. How did she have a moments of peace? My dad too. I mean, I don't.
Was she medicated?
No, she wasn't medicated. And she had, I don't know, I really wish I had some of whatever she had to kind of let things go and always just kind of be content. Or at least she was really good at showing that, or acting. If she was acting, she should have won an Oscar. I think, because she really seemed,
just kind of got immune.
Maybe because I'm younger. I'm one of the younger ones. So by the time it got to me, I think she knew what really was going to be important and what wasn't, or what was going to really have a major impact. and what was just kind of like a, something that was just going
Right.
to pass through. So maybe, I don't know.
But did you find, did you have options like
I had
kids?
some options because I didn't have all the options, but I had some options just because they were exhausted. And that's the truth. They were.
So I should be asking your older siblings.
Oh, yeah. And not even Jennifer, the one that lives near me. No, don't ask her. She's the one right above me. So we had a lot of freedom. I had a lot of freedom that probably my older siblings didn't have. And, but options as far as like with having that many children, options as far as where you're going to go to college or anything like that.
Or if you were going to go to college.
Yeah, it was pretty much, you're going to go in state unless you have a scholarship.
Right.
Like,
well,
that,
kids,
yeah. So that
really.
kind of options. But for my husband, the same thing. Like, he had a very domineering father, and it was like, oh, you don't want to major in that, you want to major in this, and
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
we pretty much did whatever our parents told us to do. Like, it wasn't. Now I feel like my kids have a lot more options.
Yes.
Than I was given, and I'm interested to see how they'll raise as adults their children.
Right.
To see, because now there's titles for parenting. Okay, I did not know there's strict parenting, gentle parenting.
I probably was a helicopter parent. I think I was so freaked out.
We all were.
With when my kids were younger, like, oh, should they be in this? Oh, that kid's doing that. My kid's not doing that. Maybe my kid should be doing that too.
Fear of missing out.
Oh, yes. And see, there wasn't a title for it then. Oh, my gosh, did I have FOMO.
But that's another thing. Mm-hmm. See, this is what happens when we start talking.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I don't have FOMO at all as a 57-year-old woman. I don't care. You want to go do something, as Mel Robbins says, let them. Mm-hmm. They want to do it, let them. I don't have any fear of missing out anymore.
But
I did in my 20s and 30s.
I'm sure I did. But you're right. Like, it's so funny now. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of tired. Yeah, y'all go ahead. I love it. Our little group of friends, and nobody takes offense to it.
No.
It's just like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. Like, one of them, like, hey, a group of us is going to go here. Do you want to come? You know what? I'm kind of tired. Or I just don't like crowds. and that's okay. If you don't like crowds.
Past 10 o'clock and I don't do
it. I don't think Colleen doesn't do that.
I don't do anything past 10 that's not involving sleeping and REM.
Right.
That. But again, that's a privilege that comes with over 50, and we would love to talk more about that. We're just kind of throwing out ideas to see what you guys want to talk about.
And I don't know if you're entering stuff in the chat or not. I don't know because I can't understand it. So I'll learn it.
We're not getting the chat question, but that's okay because we can answer them after.
Yes. Okay. Welcome to live chat. Okay.
So you got it.
Yeah.
So that's another privilege that I think we're not told about, is that we don't have to. I think when we're younger, we feel like we have to do everything and be everywhere and be the perfect mom and the perfect employee, perfect wife, perfect person, perfect friend. And as you get older, you just figure out that you can do the best you can do with the conscious understanding you have today, which is more than you had in your 20s.
And that also applies to like the conscious understanding that you do what you had. And when somebody can't do everything that you want, then you understand your friend's situation. You maybe understand your partner's situation a little better, your spouse or your significant other. Do you find, this is another thing I've found, I feel a really social responsibility to speak up when I feel like somebody is being put down.
Yes.
I do feel that. Now, I had a little argument the other day with my spouse.
Oh, do tell.
John,
we still love you.
I do, but he knows. He knows. and it was a situation where I said something. I said something about a work environment.
Okay.
And he's very cautious about that, about saying something about a work environment, because he's afraid that it will reflect badly on places where he's worked or a company he represents or something like that. And anyway, we had a big argument like, well, you shouldn't say that. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but it wasn't really, you shouldn't say that. There are
the way you said
there are consequences.
Well, that's
for what you said. There are consequences to what you said. And I said, okay, there might be consequences to what I said, but I still don't think I'm wrong. So I still do not apologize.
Right.
And I am like, I am tired of being stifled. I was a teacher. I had to be careful about what I said. I couldn't, and I totally understand that. Like when I'm a teacher and I've got a classroom of children, where I stand politically, where I stand religiously,
You leave it at the door.
that exactly, because I was at a public school. That's not for the classroom. But I'm an individual now.
Right.
And when I see a group being suppressed, or when I see things that are just atrocious, unfair, I will say something. And I was like, I'm not going to be stifled like Archie Bunker. Archie Bunker.
What's that? I will not be ignored.
I will not be ignored. No. But I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm 57 now, and I've lived long enough to know that. So anyway, that's just another thing that I've learned. That's something else that comes with age. Not to really be mean, but to really know yourself and know these are my beliefs, and I'm not apologizing for them. I mean, my beliefs were wrong. And here I'm going on. But to put a group down is really wrong. To put a group down for something when they're not harming anybody else. So anyway, happened. That happened the other day.
It's
yeah,
kind of live and let live.
I know.
And I think as we get older, we realize that too much energy and time is spent on worrying about what others think about either ourselves or a topic that we agree with or something like that. And you realize, I can't waste that energy. I need that energy to be a whole person for myself in my 50s. So go live your life. I don't agree with your opinions. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to share them with me.
Yes.
Like your opinion of me, and it's true, is none of my business.
Right.
So if you want to write something in the chat that Bridgett and I are old or your opinion is none of my business. I mean, the algorithms, thank you. Well, thank you for that. But it is such a privilege as you get older to release.
It's amazing. And
that
you wish
what
that
people
you had
think,
that.
Yeah.
And there's some people. So long? And I know there are younger people that have that early, that gift early. And I'm like, oh man, I'm so jealous. I am jealous that you got the gift early, but it's so freeing to have that gift now. But learn
from them. Like, what is it? Mm-hmm. I hope like that would be a gift I would love to give my children.
Oh my
both
gosh.
Have 2 kids or adults now. Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to say,
gosh. If we could box that up and sell it, oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many things. But I love the lady Just Being Melanie, or It's Just Melanie.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's really taken the We Don't Care Club.
Can we join? Okay. So,
I joined her We Don't Care Club. Yes.
But I think don't you have to actually put out a video that says I would like to join?
Oh, I guess so.
So this is our video.
Okay, we'll do that. We need to make a napkin with a We Don't Care.
Okay. So the next video you see will be us wearing napkins saying we don't care. And we don't care. Honestly.
We don't care.
We are able at this stage to know that our priorities are our family, our health, our friends. Vacations are nice. But what you think of us is of no consequence to how we're living our lives.
Don't care, and you can, we can see if we walk by, like, I've seen that. I've seen that look.
Oh, you have?
I haven't seen it lately, but I did see it a lot when I was younger. Like you walk in to a restaurant.
See, my husband has always told me I'm oblivious.
You probably don't notice it.
Oblivious.
That's good for you.
I've never noticed. Mm-hmm. Like he'll be like, that guy was just. I'm like, I
didn't notice.
Didn't notice. No. I guess I'm so hyper focused on whatever is in front of me.
She's hyper focused for that iced tea.
Yes. Yes. Hyper focused for my dessert, because guess what? As you get older, you deserve them.
Yeah.
But there's so much to talk about getting over 50, getting older. It's not even, it's living. Mm-hmm. It's living. And how do you live your best life? And how we have learned over the last 5.5 years.
Yeah,
We have learned
so
from
much.
so many women.
So much about longevity,
Yes.
about hobbies, happiness, mindset.
Just last week we had this week's episode is on creativity and how Maggie Smith is an author and a poet, and she wrote a book about how to write a book.
Yes.
Because there are so many women in their 50s that are like, okay, I have stories to tell. I have wisdom to share, and I have no idea how to put it down on a piece of paper. And she kind of gives you prompts. And,
she does.
Which
it's
is really
great.
And the video is doing really well.
Yes.
Which shows that there are a lot of women out there that want to do that.
Right. I mean, that was so inspiring, just how she did it and just the way she talks, that.
I wanted her as a teacher.
Oh my goodness, if I'd had her as a teacher, which I had some great teachers. I'm not trying to, but she would have been a great teacher
I had
too.
Great teachers.
In addition. Yes.
Except for some of those law school professors.
I didn't have any.
I don't even know if you're still alive.
Yeah. Oh man.
You tortured my very existence.
I really had some really good teachers in college too. I maybe had one or two that I thought, oh my God, this is awful. But I really had some good teachers, and I had some really great high school teachers.
Did you?
I had, and I'm gonna say who they are because they were fabulous. Ernestine Jennings and Debbie Hall. You were they are fantastic. They did the coolest thing. It was called American Studies, and they combined history and literature for the same time period.
Oh, that's great.
It was so good and
more relatable
than you kind of knew what was going on literature wise, literary wise, and what was going on in history at that time. But that was for Americans, so America. So American Studies, they started.
History is being destroyed right now.
So
so you know about it.
I know. Golly, and
not
then
that we're getting political.
Yeah, I know. And then Debbie Hall, also Dr. Debbie Hall. Now she got her doctorate. Taught sociology. Mm-hmm. I was a senior in high school, and I mean, we did a unit on death and dying, the stages of death, which we have also talked to.
Yeah,
David Kessler.
Well, yes, David Kessler and Catherine Manning.
That's right, about that. So that, when I was a senior in high school, we were introduced to that. We did a unit on rock and roll. I think those are two that stood out. Just how music and influence.
We talked to her.
We did. She didn't like our YouTube video, but I digress. But anyway, we've talked to a lot of musicians, but the influence of music throughout history. Oh my gosh. So, okay. So I kind of got off topic
Bridgett
there.
likes to get off on little tangents.
I do. It just comes up in my brain.
And I just let her go on them and see where we end up. But, having said that, we are teachers now as we get older and trying to show our children that it's not a death sentence. Well, it is a death sentence, but it's not a horrible thing. It's actually quite freeing. And I think being Gen Xers, we are the first generation to be taking care of ourselves the way we should be taking care of ourselves, to be given options like we talked about before, about how to have a healthy, long life, how to stay healthy longer, how to be happy longer. And we want to talk about all those things. We learn them from so many experts, and we want to share those with all of you. So thank you guys for joining us on our first of hopefully many little
we'll figure
talks.
It all out. I mean, I can close those curtains too, and whatever. My husband's Pelotons, back there. Exercise.
We have so much to talk about.
Yeah, we do. So you can leave comments, after this video will be in our live things, and we will talk to you later. I've got to figure out how to end this.
It's
there.
Okay. There. Let's see if it